At this time, I'd like to call to order the April 18th meeting of the New Bern Planning and Zoning Board. Kendra, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Board Member Kyle Bern. Here. Board Member Margie Dunn. Here. Board Member Sonny Aluzo. Here. Chairman Brad Jefferson.
Here.
Board Member Rusty Ingram. Here. Board Member Kelly Kaiser. Here. And Board Member Thomas Brownell. Let the record show he is absent. And Board Member Marshall Fowler. Present. And we do have a quorum.
All right, awesome. Thank you. All right, well, everybody, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'm going to open my chairman remarks here. All the board members got a copy of a rules and procedures. So it's been discussed now for several meetings that I felt like this board needed some rules and procedures. We got a month or so ago from Kendrick and Robert 4 different copies of some examples from around the state. I took it upon myself and kind of barged all those together into one document and then added a couple things in there, and those couple things I wanted to go over with you briefly here. First is the term of the chairperson. Currently, I'm coming up on 1 year of being chair. There are, to my knowledge, no term limit or anything for chair. And so what I put into here was a yearly re-election and be able to be re-elected as long as they're on the board. Speaking for myself, I'm a lot better at this today than I was when I started. It takes a little while to get going and to understand the procedures and what's happening. And now that we're over here at the City Hall, that has its own level of things that brings to the table. So just something to think about. I'm open for any discussion, and I want to get your feedback maybe by email to me. I'll try to incorporate and wrangle all this with the city, and so that the next meeting we can go have a real discussion with everybody on the board, make it a line item, and vote to pass something so we get something on the record. Go over my notes here. Yeah. Now that you guys all have it, I'm going to read that here. That wasn't the plan. Kendrick got ahead of me, so that's cool.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So for this particular document, do you want to provide this electronically and have us make comments to it? Are you interested in comments from the board?
I can absolutely. I can do that. Where it gets weird, according to legal, is that we can't all reply all to the comments because then it's kind of like a little pseudo meeting.
Right.
So it's kind of I can't open it up in like a Google Share doc because then everybody can see it. So I can send everybody a Word doc and you can highlight it, change it,
send it back to Kendrick without
But you
copy.
can address them number and letter for each comment.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, I can do that, and then just send it back to me, and I'll compile everything, and then we can go through that at the next meeting if that works for everybody. And yeah, I do want maybe in the rules and procedures to put something in there that kind of directs new members on what the board is, where to find information. I know when I joined the board, I was just kind of like, well, here you go, and no one told me anything. So maybe a kind of a welcoming email or something. This is the new land use ordinance. Here's where you find the zoning map. Here's where the meeting.
You weren't given a book?
I was given nothing when I so yeah, and that's not Kendrick's fault. He wasn't here. That was the previous group. But yeah, and even as as chair, here you go, off to the races. So that needs to be tightened up. And then one last thing, we are here at the courthouse. This is a different place than meeting over at the other building in the more intimate area. I just want to make sure that all board members are comfortable and that your voices are heard. It's important that your voices are heard, certainly to me and to the city. And I just I feel like some of the discussions the past couple of weeks haven't been as much. So if you're not comfortable, reach out or get comfortable. It's okay. I know the camera's pointing directly at us now and not the backs of our heads, and so that's a weird thing. I've had people reach out to me now. They see me on television. That's kind of weird, but we're working through it. Does the board? It's not on the agenda tonight. Does the board have any comments on anything that I said or any other kind of new business or anything briefly to be discussed?
Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. Hearing none, I'm just going to move to the next item. Item number 5, public comment. It looks like we got maybe a couple adding on here, but we're going to start with, real quick. Please direct your comments to the board or to city staff, and we're going to run a clock at 4 minutes each, just to keep the meeting going. So Joe Izzo, do you have any comments? Please come up to the microphone. Okay, I need you to come up to the microphone and state your name and address, please.
No, I have a question, and I'm going to wait until the item C is presented until I ask that question. Is that permissible?
Well, there's no other comment except during right now for the public.
Well, then my particular comment, item C, is we got a letter with a rough diagram, but I don't see the lot partials on there. He said there was a lot diagram available. Is that going to be presented tonight?
Yes, there's a site plan for that item. It'll be through the actual PowerPoint. So, and I'll leave the slide for that site plan that shows where the lot indications are going to be. I'll leave that up so, as it's being discussed.
Well, I can't make a comment until I see where those lots are going. That's my issue. Because when we bought our property, we live across the street from on Onyx Lane, and we were told that that land was not going to be developed.
Okay, thank you. The board could vote to open a public comment during that item.
Let's do this. Let's have a comment after each one of these, after the maps are presented, so people can see them. I move that we do that. We have a comment after each parcel issue.
I have a motion on the table.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The motion is to make comment after each item. Is there any more discussion on that item?
Can I offer a modification of that we limit the comment to 3 minutes?
After that, I have no problem with that.
So the new motion,
Is that a 3-minute comment? Well, each individual will have three minutes for public comment.
okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So we will, instead of doing the public comment here, we will move on to doing it after each item, if that, okay. So, Kendrick, we'll move on to item number 6A, the West New Bern Phase 3 General Plan. Kendrick, you have a brief for us.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to the board. So I'll begin by presenting our first agenda item here. This is West New Bern Phase 3. It's the general plan for West New Bern Phase 3, and it's designated.
Your mic is not on.
Let me see if I can try to fix it. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it's actually on period, so test.
That's better.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll try to keep it as close as I can. So,
Okay.
but let me restart. So
So you don't
here,
do
this is the
capital.
general plan for West New Bern Phase 3, and it's designated as CSP 002-816-2023. And the request summary here, the applicant is Scott Anderson. The owner is Weyerhaeuser Real Estate Development Company, and the location is at or near Clock Road. This is within New Bern, North Carolina, and the existing zoning currently is residential 6 or R-6. The size is approximately 45.33 total acres. And just a quick overview, the proposed is for 130 single-family detached homes and is intended to be a planned unit development. The subject properties are currently zoned, again, residential 6, and this is essentially established in accordance with the land use ordinance and is per Article 9 within our land use ordinance. And the purpose, of course, for residential development is essentially to establish comfortability, healthy, safe, and pleasant environment. This is, again, just read from the land use ordinance. And here first, in terms of the map, is a vicinity map, and that's just to kind of give you the location for the parcel there. Another added bit to kind of give further explanation, it is located east of the intersection of Highway 43 and West New Bern Parkway. And then additionally, it's the east side of Charles Drive. So some of this might be a little bit more difficult because there's a difference in maps. GIS isn't fully updated with some of the street names that have been incorporated. So that's why we try to give some more information there. And that's followed by a buffer map, and we just want to make sure to show the distinguished area of the 100-foot buffer surrounding the 3 parcels. And then this is the aerial map for the actual property itself. And that's followed by the zoning map, and it reflects that R-6 zoning district. And here is the actual site plan that's proposed, at least regarding the units to be established and the subdivision itself. And staff's evaluation for this, the proposed subdivision meets all requirements set forth in the City of New Bern's land use ordinance, and all comments from the Development Review Committee have been addressed. So I'll leave this on the site plan, but if the board has any questions, I'll take those at this time.
Board have any questions for Kendrick? Hearing no questions, does the applicant have any comments?
And I apologize, Mr. Chairman, just one additional thing.
Yes.
My colleague, Mr. Matthew Shelley, he's part of the historic preservation side of things, but he made a reference that it might be that my other colleague, Ms. Deanna Treble, he explained that there's a potential for a bike path. It's not a requirement or anything of the sort, but for the Bike and Ped Committee, this may be something if Weyerhaeuser would maybe approach them or talk to them about it. Maybe it's something that they would be interested in doing. I just wanted to make that note,
okay,
just so that the board's aware and the applicant can be aware as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
Cool. This is the applicant here. Would they like to speak? Sure. 3 minutes, please.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Scott Anderson. I'm here tonight on behalf of Weyerhaeuser Corporation. We appreciate the opportunity to present this plan. Again, this is our 3rd phase of residential lots in West New Bern. We've had a lot of success, and I think have had some good development there previously. So continue with that direction, and again, 130 lots. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Does the board have questions? All right.
Thank
you much. Does anyone else in the audience have any comments on item number 6A? All right, hearing none, I will turn it over to the board. You can entertain a motion to approve or deny the request.
I make a motion that we approve the plan as presented.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6B, Belle Oaks Phase 6.
All right, for our second item here on the agenda, this is Belle Oaks Phase 6. It's the final plat, and this is for subdivision. It's a major subdivision, so it's SUB MAJ 002856 2024. And the request summary for this one starts off with the applicant and the owner. This is for Belle Oaks 2 LLC, and the location is at or near Fishing Creek Drive, New Bern, North Carolina. The existing zoning currently is actually split. It is residential 8, and it is also residential 10S. And the size is approximately 8.215 total acres. The overview for this property, the proposed is for 26 single-family detached homes, and it's also intended to be a planned unit development as well. We found that on April 4th, 2020, per the Planning and Zoning Board, the general plan was approved for phases 5, 6, and also 7. The subject property is currently zoned, again, as R8 and R-10S, and these are established districts, once again, that pertain to the land use ordinance. The purpose, once more, just to reiterate, for residential districts is to establish, essentially, and provide comfortable, healthy, safe, and pleasant environment to work through for the subdivision. And here is the vicinity map pertaining to the property. I'm going to give you that description again, just as previous. It's east of the intersection of River Road and Belle's Way. And travel, or if you travel on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard to turn onto Greenleaf Cemetery Road, this is followed by turning onto Belle Oaks Drive and follow the traffic circle in order to actually physically get in that vicinity or reach that part of Belle Oaks. So here is the buffer map once again, just to reflect that 100 feet for the property itself. And that's followed by the aerial map located there, and you can see where the property is outlined in red. And lastly, the zoning map, which reflects the two differences of zoning between the R-8 and R-10S. And here is the actual site plan that is reflective. We're showing essentially, the plat, the final plat, that's showing where the actual lots are. Staff's evaluation, the proposed subdivision, again, meets all requirements set forth in the City of New Bern's Land Use Ordinance. All comments from the Development Review Committee have been addressed. And if the board has any questions for this item, I'll take those at this time.
Board have questions for Kendrick for this item?
So in the DRC comments, there was a comment about the stormwater mitigation.
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned in your comments that's been addressed. Can you explain how it's being addressed?
Yes, I can. So basically what happens in that instance, because stormwater, when they're proceeding to those different permits, they have to work with the state. And I believe Public Works is also tied in some shape or fashion. I don't know if they kind of just get them to where they need to be. However, basically the state works with the applicant, and it's a correspondence between themselves and the state to process those permits. Nothing will be put forward until they retain the permits that they need to from the state.
And I'm sorry, I'm not up to speed on what happens with the state and all the stormwater requirements. I mean, what kinds of things does the permit state? Does it state that they have a plan for mitigation of the stormwater? Because in the comments it states that Fishing Creek Drive has flooded in recent rains.
Yes.
So do they have a plan to mitigate that amongst that area?
They have to work that out through the state representative, whomever is going to be overseeing their project. And so once they actually submit, even pending that you all approve the final plat, it still may go through some different variation with the state. There's a potential for that if there's some type of problem that they discover pertaining to the stormwater. So that's how I understand it. I don't really, well, at least we don't have involvement particular between correspondence between the applicant and the state. They just have to go forward with trying to make sure they meet all the state's standards.
But they basically have to meet all the requirements of the state, and the state issues a permit.
Right.
They don't move forward until that permit is issued and recognized by the city.
That's how I understand it, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Kendrick? All right, thanks, Kendrick. Hearing none, I will open it up again for public comment on item 6B, or if the applicant would like to speak. All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this item.
I make a motion we approve the final plan under 6B for Belle Oaks Phase 6. Can't read it.
I have a motion. I'll take Kyle's second on this one, since you seconded already. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 6C, Cranberry at Carolina Colors. Kendrick, please give us a brief.
All right, and I'm going to move on to the last item for the agenda. This is, I don't want to butcher the name there. I think it's Chambray at Carolina Colors, final plat. And this is the SUB MAJ 002-857-2024. And the request summary here, starting off, the applicant is Thomas Engineering, PA, or John G. Thomas. The owner is Overlook Holdings, LLC, and the location is at or near Bayberry Park Drive, so that's within New Bern, North Carolina. The existing zoning is residential 8, or R-8, and the total acreage approximately is 21.09. The overview is the proposal here is for 27 single-family detached homes, and on April 5th of 2020, per the Planning and Zoning Board, the general plan was approved. The subject property is currently again zoned as R-8, and this was established in accordance with the land use ordinance as a specific district. And the purpose of a residential district, again, I know you've kind of heard the reiteration, but for comfortability, health, safety, and pleasant environment. And just to give that description once more for the vicinity, added into that, it is west of the intersection of Highway 70 and Waterscape Way. And if you turn onto Waterscape Way from North Carolina Highway 70 and then turn on to Bayberry Park Drive, essentially that's going to lead you into that section. And just to make clear, the buffer for the 100 feet was taken in totality for the entirety of the property. And I know you all are looking at a section, but we have to take it in accordance to how we understand it per general statute. So the buffer taken in totality was for the actual entire parcel. So you can see that reflected here with the blue and whatnot.
Is that with the red line?
The red line is the outlining of the entire property. Yes, ma'am. That's correct. And the blue essentially is that 100 feet that we took to make sure all different folks that were around it were actually notified properly. And that's within the 100 feet. And that's followed by the actual aerial. And where you can see, just to make sure to kind of explain it, that section that has the dotted line going through, that is the new section that they're anticipating to begin or start for necessarily, or actually this is the final plat, excuse me, so it's already being implemented in some ways. And then that's followed by the actual zoning map here, and that's just reflective of the R-8 zoning district. And here's the site plan, which shows and reflects those lots and how they're going to be distinguished. And the staff's evaluation once more, the proposed subdivision meets all requirements set forth in the City of New Bern's land use ordinance, and all comments from the Development Review Committee have been addressed once again. And if the board has any questions, I'll take those at this time.
So this infrastructure is already in place?
Yes, ma'am, that's as I understand it. And hopefully, I believe the applicant may be here, so they can probably answer more than what I can, but yes.
Board have any more comment or questions for Kendrick? Okay. If the applicant is here, would they like to speak? 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Kendrick. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bobby Billingsley. I'm with Thomas Engineering. Represent Overlook Holdings. Mr. Kip Paraguay is also here for questions for the developer. McKim & Creed originally did this design. We were hired to do the subdivision plat and mapping. All the infrastructure is in. There's been no guarantees needed. When I was out there a while ago, City Electric was actually installing electric facilities. Sidewalks are in, curbs in, mail kiss pad, everything. I believe we've answered all the comments from Department of Review. General plan, I think you said 2020?
Yes, sir.
So this was approved in 2020. I don't think there's been any substantial changes to the general plan that was approved in 2020. It's low-density development. I think that's about it. Just like to reserve the right to answer any questions if need be.
All right, thank you, sir. I
Mr.
will-
Chair, is Mr. Billingsley?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the performance bond,
Yes.
can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, we talked to Public Works, Dan Casterly, and they did an inspection, and none was required because everything's complete.
But it's not been accepted by the city yet.
Well, we don't have a final plat, so we're here tonight for that. But after that time, yes, the roads will be turned over to the city, yes.
Okay.
So you say all the infrastructure's in?
Yes, sir. Curb, asphalt, left trees on lots, there's roadside swales, water, sewer, all complete, accepted. Like I said, City New Bern's out there today installing all the electric facilities, transformers, that sort of thing.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Does anyone in the audience have any comment on item number 6C? 3 minutes.
Yes, bear with me. I'm not an engineer, but I'm having a hard time understanding this map. Could we have a little bit of clarification of where exactly those lots, proposed lots, are going to be built on?
Have you drove out there yet?
Excuse me?
Have you drove out there yet?
I live there.
Yes, but I mean, have you drove this new road?
Yeah.
Because they're kind of already designated out there.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I live right there.
Okay.
What I'm asking is, I live on Onyx Lane, and I want to know if there are going to be lots developed on Onyx across from our home, because we were told when we bought the property that was not going to be developed. I don't have any problem with the rest of the area, but on Onyx there, we were told that was going to be a park.
Well, if I'm looking at this correctly, this doesn't show any lots there, this phase.
Well, that's why I'm asking for clarification. I can't tell by this diagram where those lots are going to be
So
put
this
in.
is turned this way. It's turned. There is a park. Is that the west side? Per this drawing, Kendrick, isn't there a park on the west side?
Go ahead. Sorry, I know you're here to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Kip Paragoy, and I represent Overlook Holdings. The area the gentleman's talking about is nowhere near this. It's 51 lots further back into the property than pieces they're talking about. Our future plans will maintain the blocks that he's talking about, but there's 3 of them that are 150 by 50 or something like that. In fact, one of them already has a playground on it. They will stay that way, and using the county designation of that block of land, you were sending notices to people that live 2 miles away instead of 100 feet. And so it causes a real problem to folks being able to understand where the property is. I mean, we've fielded lots of calls from folks that were miles and miles away from this property because of the process that was followed. But to this gentleman's direct concern, those 3 park blocks will remain that way.
All right. Thank you, Kip. Does anybody else have any other comments that they'd like to speak? Sure. State your name and your address.
Yeah, my name is Ron Larson. I live at 4300 Onyx Lane. I live next door to Mr. Joe Izzo there. And I think Kip just clarified what happened. I think we all got a notification indicating that the area across from us was going to be part of a development. And that is certainly contradictory to what we had understood and what the plan was for that property. based on what Kip has just identified, it seems like the area that we're speaking about today is the area that's already been subdivided and cleared and ready to go. So I don't think, I know I don't have a problem with that. That's already laid out, and we expected that to happen. What we don't expect is that those lots that we were told were going to remain not buildable and just remain park will remain park. And I think I just heard Kip confirm that that's going to be the case, and that should be the case going forward. And I just hope that for future plans that that's also considered when it comes before the board, because I do expect that to come before the board at some other time. I would like to see, access to Wilcox and not have that traffic go through, all that construction traffic go through Spring Green and Bayberry, but it doesn't seem that there's access to Wilcox. But that level of construction is a little bit difficult for everybody, but understand that does need to be built out. So I think those are my comments. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
For clarification, North Carolina General Statute requires the subject parcel have the properties around it notified. So because this 20-something acre portion wasn't subdivided out, you were forced to notify everybody from the entire subject parcel. And if there's any development in the future, this will happen again.
Thank you, Robert. Anybody else? Sure. Your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Chris Vasco. I live at 3811 Burleywood Lane in Carolina Colors. And I'm actually interested in purchasing a home in Bayberry Park. So the purpose of me attending this is to find out exactly what they're doing with those parcels, because I also got a notification. And my question is there any plan to do any kind of fencing or tree in between? I mean, I don't know if they're planning a clear cut or if some of those trees are going to stay, or I don't know what the plan is, and I was wondering if somebody could explain that.
Staff have any comments?
That'd probably be a question for the applicant or Mr. Gibb
Okay.
to try to answer that.
And how do I do that?
Kip's right behind you. You could have a discussion with him after the meeting, perhaps.
Tackle him as he's leaving.
Quickly,
I'm not sure
Kip.
that I heard the questions. That wasn't very loud.
Why don't you two guys have a conversation and we'll move on. All righty. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Does anybody else have any comments on this item? All right. Hearing none, I will entertain discussion or a motion on this item from the board.
And Mr. Chair, ordinarily we require a performance guarantee at final plat approval. It may be that none is required, but you may want to consider a condition that a performance guarantee be provided if requested by Public Works. And it may be that that paperwork is already in place. I haven't had an opportunity to see that,
Okay.
But you might want to consider that.
So we put that in the motion. Okay.
We can't condition an administrative approval, and performance guarantees are typically for incomplete infrastructure such as roads. We previously, in a different time, would do an acceptance guarantee, but that was proven to be illegal.
So as long as you all are satisfied that everything is built out and the Public Works Department is completely satisfied with the infrastructure, proceed. And I see Kip standing up. Has Mr. Childs signed? Can you come to the microphone?
Everything's done. Sidewalks are all in. Water sewers all been tested, and the engineer certificates have been forwarded. All the as-built have been done.
So the certificates have been forwarded? The certificates have been forwarded? Is that what you said? I couldn't hear you.
The as-built and the engineer certifications of the water and sewer system and so forth are all have been completed.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're
Just want
good?
that information in the record.
Okay. All right. So then we're not going to put that condition in the motion if we make a motion. Any more discussion?
Okay, I'll go 3 for 3. I make a motion that we approve the final plat as proposed.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll call for a... Oh, damn. Sorry about that. Still learning the equipment. I'll call for a... all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item number 7. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.